Hi, I'm Shane with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be going over the best flat toe setup for your 2017 Chevrolet Equinox. There's going to be 5 main components for a flat toe setup with any vehicle. The first one's going to be your base plate, second your tow bar, then your safety cables, your wiring, and your braking system. With the Chevy Equinox, it's going to require 3 additional parts. We're going to require a brake light switch, a fuse master fuse bypass, and a charge line. Our base plate is going to attach to our vehicle chassis, and it's going to give us a solid connection point for our tow bar. There's 4 options of base plates for the 2017 Chevy Equinox. I like the Easy 5 direct connect we have here. It's going to make attaching and detaching our tow bar a lot easier, and there's less components we're going to have to worry about misplacing if we're not using it. As I mentioned before, our base plate is going to give us a solid mounting location for our tow bar when we're flat towing our vehicle. It's going to mount directly to the chassis of the vehicle. When not in use, we're going to have removable arms to help maintain a nice clean look on the front of the vehicle. To start our installation, we're going to have to remove a few panels here on top. Flathead screwdriver or trim panel tool. We're going to have 3 pushman fasteners on each side. We're going to pry out the center, and then we're going to pull the base out. I'm going to take this panel. We're just going to fold it back out of the way. We're going to do that same thing to the other side. Take a T20 Torx bit. We're going to have a few screws right here. In front of each tire on each side, right along this inside edge, we're going to have 2 pushman fasteners, 2 T20 Torx bits, and depending on your vehicle, you may have a 7mm head bolt right here that attaches your front fascia to your fender. We're going to remove all of those. Again, these pushman fasteners are the same as the ones that were up top. Then you're going to take your T20 Torx bit, remove your 2 bolts here. And then your 7mm head bolt is right up here. Pull this out. If you have fog lights, your plug sits right here. There's a little tab on it that you're going to need to pull out. See this little red tab? You need to make sure you pull that up, and then you're going to push right there, and you'll be able to pull the plug right off. You need to disconnect both lights, one on each side. And then on the underside of the car, on each side, you're going to have 2 7mm head bolts that need to be removed. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to remove our fascia. We're going to start from the outside and work our way towards the center. We're just going to pop the fascia loose from the clips. Again, pull it out slowly. Just make sure you have all of your wiring disconnected. Once you have it all disconnected, you're going to set it off to the side in a safe place. Right here in the center of our bumper beam, on the back side, we're going to have wire loom. We're going to have some clamps that run through to the outside. Take some needle nose pliers, and we're just going to pinch that and pull that wire loom through. Just like that. On the top side of our bumper beam, on each side, we're going to have another fastener just like we removed on the ones on the front. Just like that. Then attach right there. You're just going to pinch the 2 sides and pull it through. 13mm socket. We're going to remove the 3 bolts on each side of our bumper core. Next, we're going to remove our ambient temperature sensor. Again, plastic trim panel tool. Just want to make sure you don't damage it. And on each side, we're going to be trimming off this outer edge of our air dam. Going to go from about here. We're just going to go straight down this edge, just like that. We're going to do that same thing on the other side. I'm going to use a dremel tool. Any cutting device, you can use some 10 snips. Probably cut this plastic, it's pretty thin. We're going to do that same thing on the other side. We're going to take our 6 bolts that we removed from our bumper core and make sure we put red Loctite on the threads. We're going to take our main receiver brace, we're going to set it in place and reinstall our bolts. With an 18mm socket, we need to remove the bolt on our subframe. We're only going to do one side at a time. We want to make sure we don't remove both bolts on our subframe at the same time. You have a plate that looks like this. Large bolt. Make sure you use Loctite. Slide it through. And make sure you have your lock washer on. Then you're going to take your pipe spacer, slide it on the top. We're going to bolt this right back into that spot that we just removed our bolt. We're going to take our smallest hex bolt, come up through the bottom. On the inside, we're going to put a lock washer and a nut. Again, we want to use Loctite on all of our hardware. And you can see how we have movement there. We want to make sure we're not tightening anything down for that reason right there. We want to make sure we get all of our hardware installed first before we tighten anything down. Take a 22mm socket. We're going to torque this bolt here to the specifications in the instructions. And we're going to move up and torque these two to the specifications of the instructions. Before doing that, we want to make sure our base plate is centered. Then you're going to repeat that on the other side of the vehicle. Take a 10mm socket, driver's side. We need to loosen the hardware holding on our bottle, our washer bottle. We're going to have a bolt here, a nut here, and a nut over here. $10mm socket, driver's side, we're going to remove our horn. We're going to have two brackets that look like this. On our driver's side, we want the one that has a hole. It's going to be at the top. This cutout is facing the outside of the vehicle. We're going to slide it in behind our wiring. We're going to use the shorter of the hex bolts. We're going to go down from our top brace through our main receiver brace. Underside, we're putting a lock washer and a nut. Same thing over here. We're going to have a backing plate like this, one for each side. We're going to slide it in. We want the hole, you can see how it's kind of offset. We want it close to the top and close to the outside. We're going to slide it in, and like this. Put in our bolt. This is going to be the longer of the hex bolts, and then lock washer and lock washer and a nut. Once you get your hardware installed, you're going to tighten and torque these two bolts, and you're going to tighten and torque that bolt. And you're going to do that on each side of the vehicle. Then you want to tighten and torque the 3 factory bolts that you removed to the specification of the instructions, and then we can reinstall our horn and our washer bottle. Once your base plate is fully installed, it's a good idea to go ahead and add any additional wiring or braking system components before you reinstall your fascia. Before reinstalling your fascia, you're going to have a foam piece that runs right down in the center. You need to make sure you remove that. You're going to have a few clips, one here, and you're going to have 2 on the other side. Some models may have a metal clip right in the center. Then you're going to reinstall your fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off. Go ahead and install your 6-pole plug. Test it out to make sure everything's working correctly.